Under the blinding lights of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, a night of heavyweight drama was about to unfold. A packed arena of over 60,000 fans roared with anticipation, chanting, waving flags, holding their breath, split between hope and doubt. England's prize gladiator, Anthony Joshua, stood tall at the edge of the ring, a unified heavyweight world champion with the muscles of a statue and the composure of a king. His domain? The land of giants. His mission? To defend his throne. But across from him stood a man unlike any he had faced before. Oleksandr Usyk of Ukraine, the former undisputed cruiserweight king, Olympic gold medalist, and a master technician who danced between shadows and slipped between punches. He was no ordinary challenger. He was the enigma, a man with magic in his movement and a mind built for combat, a warrior who conquered one division and now set his eyes on toppling the heavyweight empire. From the very first bell, this wasn't just a fight, it was a clash of ideologies, brawn versus brain, power versus precision. Usyk came out light on his feet, darting in and out, jabbing, feinting, creating angles that few heavyweights could even see, let alone respond to. Joshua, ever watchful, held the center, measuring, waiting, trying to time the perfect moment to unleash his devastating right hand. But Usyk didn't allow moments. He took them. He owned the pace, pecked at AJ's body, and danced away before the Englishman could counter. In the opening rounds, Usyk paved the canvas with slick footwork and laser-sharp punches. The crowd, split and stunned, could already sense it. This was not the usual storm Joshua weathered. This was different. The chess match had begun, and it was Usyk who had first moved the queen. Under the blazing lights of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the chess match began to unfold. Two men, two ideologies of combat, testing and teasing their way into a rhythm. Oleksandr Usyk, the smaller man by frame, but immense in spirit, floated around the ring like a specter, his footwork dazzling, his rhythm unbroken, his eyes scanning every faint twitch from Joshua like a computer decoding chaos. He was a man on a mission, not just to win, but to outthink and outclass. Joshua, on the other hand, stood tall, deliberate, mechanical yet menacing. He jabbed with caution, calculating his range, hunting for openings that weren't there. The longer reach, the heavier hands, it was all being neutralized by the Ukrainian's sublime angles and masterful timing. The champion was being outmaneuvered by a ghost who never stayed in one place for too long. By the third round, Usyk's left hand was already painting a picture on Joshua's right cheekbone. One shot at a time, he was marking territory, not just on AJ's body, but in the minds of the fans watching in disbelief. Each punch wasn't thrown with rage. It was precise, tactical, like a surgeon's blade. Joshua responded with spurts of aggression, brief flashes of uppercuts and body shots that reminded everyone he was still dangerous. But for every moment of promise, Usyk had an answer. He would pivot out, land a double jab, then vanish into his next angle. The crowd, unsure whether to roar or stay silent, sensed what was happening. This wasn't just a boxing match. It was a masterclass unfolding in slow motion. Usyk wasn't just boxing Joshua. He was unraveling him. And the tension? It was only beginning to rise. As the middle rounds approached, the tension in the stadium grew denser, like fog rolling in before a storm. Round 5 arrived, and with it, a sense of urgency. Joshua, realizing the tide was slipping away, began to press forward with more conviction. He doubled up the jab, stepped into the pocket, and let his right hand go. For the first time in the fight, Usyk backed up under pressure. Joshua's shots thudded against Usyk's gloves, his shoulders, even catching a piece of his chin. The crowd exploded, sensing momentum shifting. For a moment, the lion roared. AJ was back. But just when the champion seemed ready to break through, Usyk responded. He didn't panic. He absorbed. Then he pivoted left, rolled under a hook, and came back with a wicked left cross that snapped Joshua's head. The crowd gasped. This was Usyk's brilliance. He didn't just survive fire. He turned it back into ice. In round 6, he began threading uppercuts through Joshua's guard. His footwork was dazzling, circling clockwise, then counterclockwise, always forcing Joshua to reset. The Olympic gold medalist from London looked confused, stalking but not cornering, pressuring but not connecting. By round 7, Usyk had taken over again. He wasn't just winning rounds. He was writing a narrative of dominance. The right side of Joshua's face began to swell. Blood trickled from the nose. Every time AJ tried to plant his feet, Usyk would make him pay with a quick combination, then disappear. And yet Joshua remained dangerous. Every time he landed a body shot, Usyk winced. But the Ukrainian refused to fade. The 8th round began with an air of desperation around Anthony Joshua. The proud British champion, once feared for his brute strength and knockout power, now found himself chasing a ghost. Usyk had not only survived Joshua's best punches, he was outworking him, outsmarting him, and slowly dismantling him with the grace of a surgeon. Usyk's movement became even more elusive. He floated in and out of range, landing 2-punch and 3-punch combinations before Joshua could even react. The left hand was his scalpel, slicing through AJ's guard and swelling his right eye. The damage was becoming visible now, not just physically, but mentally. Joshua's expression changed. Doubt was creeping in. Yet, still, he fought on. There were moments, brief flashes, where the crowd dared to believe. A stiff jab here, a right hand to the body there. But Usyk would answer every question with poise, slipping the return fire and pivoting into space, forcing Joshua to turn again and again. The rhythm of the fight was being conducted by the Ukrainian maestro. By round 9, Usyk was fully in command. The crowd, though still behind their champion, began to murmur. They could feel the shift. AJ's punches had become slower, his feet heavier. The energy he poured into chasing Usyk only left him more drained with every missed attempt. Then came the 10th, a masterclass in movement, angles, and southpaw genius. Usyk landed a left straight that jerked Joshua's head back and drew gasps from ringside. Then another, and another. The once dominant lion of the division was being hunted, not by a predator of brute force, but by a technician with a nation behind him and a plan in his heart. At ringside, even the analysts began to speak in hushed tones. This wasn't just an upset in the making, it was history unfolding. The championship rounds arrived, and with them came a storm. Anthony Joshua, swollen-eyed and battle-worn, entered round 11 knowing time was slipping away. If he was going to retain his crown, this was it. This was the moment. But the man across from him, Oleksandr Usyk, was no longer just boxing. He was painting a masterpiece. Usyk upped the tempo in the 11th. Like a predator that had played with its prey for long enough, he began to close the distance with purpose. The left hands came in sharper, the angles tighter, the movement even more poetic. Joshua, still dangerous, threw with what he had left. But it wasn't enough. His punches landed glancingly. Usyk's landed clean. The crowd at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium stood on edge. The chants for AJ now mixed with silence, with awe, with realization. The unified heavyweight champion was being unseated. And it wasn't through brutality. It was through brilliance. Then came round 12. Usyk didn't coast. He didn't dance away He pressed forward like a man possessed. His combination stunned Joshua. A hard left rocked the Brit's head back into the ropes. Another flurry had the entire crowd holding their breath. For a second, it looked like Joshua might fall. But with pride alone, he held on. He endured. He finished on his feet, but barely. The final bell rang, and with it, the weight of the moment settled in. Joshua walked back to his corner, battered and breathless. Usyk dropped to his knees in the center of the ring, hands raised, a warrior who had just conquered his greatest mountain. The judges read the scores: 117-112, 116-112, 115-113, a unanimous decision. And then, history. The winner by unanimous decision, and the new unified heavyweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk. A roar erupted from the Ukrainian faithful. A storm of emotion raged through the ring. Tears welled in Usyk's eyes, not from pain, but from pride. In the lion's den, against all odds, he had done what many thought